Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another MLittleProgramming tutorial. In today's video, we will be taking a look at unit tests in Python, where unit tests fit into the testing process, unit test conventions in Python, and how to write a unit test in Python. So, what is a unit test? A unit test checks whether individual components in a system are performing as we expect them to. The components we will be looking at in this video are functions. Unit tests usually have an input into the component we are testing and an expectation of what we expect the output to be. There are four types of testing: integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing, and unit testing. Unit testing is the first level of software testing and is performed before integration testing. So why would we use unit testing? Unit testing increases confidence in changing code. If good unit tests are written and run by developers when code is changed, we can easily see any functionality regression due to the change we are making as developers. Unit testing forces code to be written in a modular way. Modular coding tends to make code easier to reuse, and reusable code is more efficient. Unit testing makes the cost of fixing problems cheaper. If we change the functionality of our program and find the change has caused the test to fail, then we can easily make a change. However, if we don't catch the error through our testing phases and it gets to live, potentially you can see how that may cost a company a lot of money to fix and a few angry customers. Now on to a few tips for when you're writing unit tests. The first is that you want to use test data that is close to what occurs in production. For example, if you have a function that takes string as an input, if in the running of the system that function takes strings that always contain underscores, in your test you want to be testing for strings that contain underscores, not just single word strings like hello. Secondly, use a version control system like GitHub so that you can track your tests over time. This is so that if a bug reaches your live system, you can see how your tests may have regressed over time and allowed the bug to pass through. Finally, run your unit tests frequently to make sure no errors are occurring. The more frequently you run your tests, the more opportunity they have to catch errors. So how do we unit test in Python? Well, first things first, we need something to unit test. So we will create a file called unittesting.py. In this file, we are going to define a function. For the first example, we are going to create a very simple function, one that just doubles the input passed to it. And we define a function like so. Now we are going to write the unit test for this function. To do this, we create a separate file. Now, there are a number of formats to do this in Python. The first is to create a file in the same directory. The second is to create a directory at the same level as the code directory. If you are creating a new directory, you cannot call it test as it will conflict with the inbuilt test. The third is to create a directory one level under the code directory. For smaller projects, like the one we are creating today, I prefer to put the test file in the same directory as the one our code is in. The test files themselves also have a convention. This is a naming convention. Our code file is called unit testing. Every file that is responsible for testing in Python contains the word test in the file name. There are two ways you can implement this. The first is by placing the word test followed by an underscore and then the name of our file. The second is the name of our file followed by an underscore and the word test. We are going to do the second in this video. Now, to get this file set up so that we can define some unit tests, we need to import the unit test module. To do this, we simply type import unit test. Next, we need to have access to the function we want to unit test, so we also need to import that too. To do that, we first need to specify the file that the function comes from. So we can use the keyword from, specify the file, and then import the function we want. Next, we set up a class that we are going to define our unit tests inside of. We'll call it testDouble, as that's the function we are going to test. This takes unittest.testCase. Inside this class, we create a number of functions that are each going to be individual unit tests. The first unit test, we are going to check input is doubled. So the name of our function is going to be test_input. input is doubled. This function takes self as a parameter. Now, the body of a unit test has a structure. This structure is often referred to as arrange, act, assert. There are some variations to this name, but they all refer to the same structure. Let's go through what the structure means. Arrange is where we set up what we need for the test, such as setting the value of data we are going to pass into the method we are testing. In the act section, we call the method we are testing with the data that we set up in the arrange stage. The assert stage is where we take what we got back from the method we are testing and verify it has behaved as expected. So, let's define a test using this structure. We need a number to pass into our double function, so we define a variable that has the number we want to double. Now, in the act stage, we need to call our function with the data we set up in the arrange stage and assign what is returned to a variable. Finally, in the assert stage, we need to verify that this value we got back from our double function is what we expected. To do that, there are a number of test methods available on self. So, if we type self, we are met with those methods. Now, we will be looking at a lot more of these methods in future videos of this Python for Beginners series. Although today, we are just going to be using the assert equal method, and this takes 3 parameters. The first 2 are the 2 values that you'd like to check are equal, and the third is a message that will only be printed if the test fails. So, our first value will be the value returned by our function. We expect that to be 10, so our second parameter is 10. We can then make the third parameter. The 2 values are not equal. Now, to run these unit tests, we need to add the following to the bottom of our file so that Python knows what to run. Now that we've done that, we can run the tests and see that our test has passed. To see the third parameter in action, we can replace our second parameter with the number 36. This is obviously not what doubling 5 equals, and so this will fail, and we see here the 2 values were not equal is printed. Thank you for watching the video this far. I hope you got a lot of value from it. If you'd like to see more Python programming tutorials, there will be a link in the description down below to a playlist of Python programming tutorials. With that said, if you like the video, if you could drop a like on the video, it would be much appreciated as it really helps the channel, and subscribe to see new Python programming tutorials every week. Also, if you've got any questions about the video, drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Have a great day.